So, therefore, welcome again. I didn't press live, so I have missed 3 minutes of it because, again, this is a show about domestic violence. Domestic violence is something that happens to women more, 98% women and 2% to men. Yes, I know it happens to men, but today's show is for women, by women, to women. And we're going to talk about a sad thing that happened on the 8th of April. April is supposed to be spring, where good things start happening. Unfortunately, terrible things have started happening in the beginning of April. And we hope that this is the last thing and we move forward. My guest today is Henrietta Adom, who is a channel manager for Channel 7 on Sky Television here in the UK. She has had the experience of working in different television stations. She's managed them all, and she's now managing the one here, Channel 7. She's my boss, actually. So you will notice that I'm going to be on my best behavior on this show. In fact, I made a mistake just now, which I've corrected. You wouldn't know, but it's happened. Now, a very popular Nigerian gospel singer, her name is Osinachi Inwachuku, has passed away. May she rest in peace. And this musician has got hits which we've all heard. As Ghanaians, we've heard it. We haven't understood it, but it's gospel and it's Christian. And a lot of people here, they play it on the Nigerian movies when it's got something to do with worship. It happens in their churches. If you're invited, you will hear it. One thing I noticed, I didn't know about her before, but one thing I noticed when I was doing my research was this lady, when she's singing, she cries. It is emotional. And you don't even understand what she's saying, blah, 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 blah. But the way she sings it makes you want to cry. It moves you, it gives you goose pimples. My people, unbeknownst to us, her fans, or all the fans and the people who listen to her singing these emotional songs, she really meant what she was crying about. She was being beaten at home, she was maltreated, bad things were happening to her. Now, in our culture, and I say this every time I have a show, it's like when you are going into marriage, you are advised not to talk about your marriage to other people. So if you have a problem, you go to your church and you go to the elders or someone you respect, because that person will try and patch you up together. But if you are proud, like me, or if you are somebody who doesn't want to put your matter out into the world, you may not do it. You may not tell people. A lot of people were surprised when they suddenly found out I was divorced. They couldn't understand it. But I hadn't told them what was going on in my seemingly happy home. One of the problems, one of the reasons why I thank God every day for my life, my children's life, is because I come from outside, whether it's a party, whether it's work, whether it's from the farm, whether it's from a walk, whatever it is. When I enter my home and I shut my door, I have entered my space. That is my refuge. And I thank God every day for giving me that feeling. I'm even getting emotional telling you people because I don't talk about my life in public so much. But I'm telling you now that the peace the peace that I have, it is like God has given me something. It can't be me. It couldn't be. Because there were times when I was confused. There were times when I didn't want to go home. There were times when I was worried. All of that went with the man. It just went. Today, Henrietta and I are going to talk about all of these things, the feeling of peace, the feeling of tearing yourself away from strife. And when I say strife, imagine it in its purest and most harrowing form. Good evening again, Henrietta.
Good evening, Kiki. I'm
Mm,
happy to be here with you.
I am so happy too because I've begged you so much and you've always refused, but I'm happy you're here.
Thank you for having me. This
Henrietta, I don't even know where to start with my questioning because one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was these churches that people go to. Did you ever actually attend one of these churches yourself?
from a personal point of view, my experiences actually I'm Catholic. I'm
Okay.
Catholic. Yeah. So throughout my relationship and marriage, I didn't have a major church influence,
Okay.
if I should put it that way. So but the thing in the Catholic Church is that once you bless your marriage in the church, divorce is not an option. There is no option for divorce in the Catholic Church. But I think the Catholic Church uh, deals with these situations differently, where there is evidence and proof of severe abuse. I think the church advise separation. That's
Okay.
what I believe, because I have friends in the church who have been advised by the church that at this point, in order to save life, it's advisable that you both separate. They are not advising divorce, but at least a certain level of separation to deal with the issues in the marriage. But then we need to save, people need to be alive for whatever there is to be resolved. So they will advise that. And in my personal experience too, my parish priest basically, even though my marriage was not blessed in the church, it was the traditional marriage setting thing that was done, and we were now going to bless it in the church. And based on life happens, so things delayed. And I always think I count it as a blessing actually in these guys. But then we were still in the church, so I had to inform the parish priest, and they came in several times to try and resolve issues, but it got to a point and they realized that no, lives need to be saved. So it was advised that it was best we separated, and
Okay.
that's what happened to me. So and it was based also on my own willpower. You will be given advice. I always say that advice is given to you, but it's up to you to receive it and use it as you would want to. Because I know that there are so many women and men, if we should put it that way, who are advised that this is not good for you. You have to do this. But if you don't have the willpower and the know-how that, listen, I need to do this for me first, and then the rest will come as you continue to be on the face of the earth. But not everybody can count themselves as lucky as you and I to be here today, that we are telling our stories and trying to talk about this very sensitive topic for me. Whenever domestic violence is mentioned, I shake, my body shakes, because it's something I don't really like. It just enrages me because of my personal experiences. But you and I, Kiki, we have to thank God for who we are, where we come from, who raised us, and whatever we've been through in life, for us to be among the few who are able to reach the point and say, listen, at this point, this is my decision, and I want to push through with it, regardless of what comes with it. A lot of people, especially women, I believe, or I have every reason to believe that it is fear of what society will say, fear of disappointing themselves, because I believe nobody goes into marriage to divorce. Maybe there are rare cases where people have different reasons they go into marriage, but
But let me give you a nice scenario of
okay.
a person getting into a marriage. There are different types of ways of which people are introduced to men, but most times in our Ghana, we don't do arranged marriages much anymore. You meet
Yeah.
somebody,
Yeah.
and when you meet them, or you meet them through either your social circle, or maybe through work, or a friend introduces you something. So you meet the person, he's nice, he's friendly, you go out with them for a little bit. And then as time goes on, you get married. So there's a lot of excitement, and you're moving forward and you're going to have children. The most exciting part is actually when they're having the traditional. For
Yeah.
me, the traditional is more exciting than the actual wedding. My wedding day, I cried the whole day. I started in the church. Something the priest said something, and I burst into tears. I could not stop crying till the reception. I just could not stop.
Oh,
I
I'm
was.
sorry.
This is your wedding day. You're dressed up beautifully. You are in the church. You are, and anyway, backtrack. Forget about me. So a lot of people, there's so much excitement. This is your day. People come, you have makeup, you have your friends around you, the ones who are happy for you, the haters who are pretending they like. It's so exciting. Your mother is so proud.
Oh, yes.
Your father is a little bit apprehensive. Who is this? Marrying my girl. But hey, it's happening. Your brothers too, some are happy. I have several. Some are happy, some are looking at the man and wondering, and so on and so forth. But you get married, and everything is beautiful until one day something happens and you disagree, and then he has a temper, he gets upset, and then depending on how his temper goes, this is how the marriage, the violence or abuse unfolds. Now, there are different types of domestic abuse, which then it becomes violence, because first is shouting, maybe he's a jealous man and all of that. So you do something. So, and especially for me, if you're with a man who is a jealous man, and when you go out, the other thing is people invite you to parties, weddings, bar mitzvahs, a lot. And you are nervous because you don't want somebody to come too close to you, because when you get home, there's going to be a fight, or there's going to be a fight in the car. There's going to be, and you are looking at the guy, and it's crazy.
You can't
Sometimes you don't,
smile too much at
right.
people.
And sometimes you don't even know why. You didn't even see the person who you are being blamed for. And sometimes you are happily chatting away with someone, and then suddenly he's upset.
Yeah.
But most times, and this is what I want young people who watch this show to realize, that you grew up, you had all these different people, you went to school, you went to secondary school, you went to
To the
university,
uni.
you
Yeah.
went to places, you've worked, you've got friends, and yet you chose this man, and this man becomes your downfall. There are some people who, you know, they are in a certain, they may be an actor, an actress, this, like this singer, this woman, this musician.
Yeah.
She sings, she's invited to places. But this husband of hers gets upset. He wouldn't allow her to go to, and all of this is being said after the fact. She's
After
dead.
the fact, after she's gone.
After she's dead.
Yeah.
Why? But I do understand, because when you are in it, you have hope.
Yeah.
And yet, this hope can kill you.
Yes. It can kill you. And that, I'm sure it is her hope, her prayers that it will get better that kept her there. And that's what has taken her life away. I believe strongly she was hoping and praying, being a woman of God, that, and she's married to a pastor.
Now, there are two things as well. Because he's a pastor, he will tell you that he will gaslight you and tell you that it is your fault.
In
When you were single,
this particular situation, I was reading something on the BBC Pidgin page last night, and her sister and her mom, they both were saying that he actually threatened her that it's either she walks out of the marriage alive or dead. So if a man who is a man of God, who is your husband and the father of your kids, could say that to you, that says a lot. That says a lot, because I'm sure that in as much as we meet people and we fall, if something happened in school, they'll tell you boy meets girl, they like each other, they fall in love, something happens, they separate, something happens, they come back together, and then they end up in marriage. Before any relationship turns abusive, I'm sure that, like they always say, there were red flags before, because I don't think people just grow into becoming, people just become abusive. It must be coming from somewhere, because if a child grows up in an environment where there's no abuse or whatsoever, I'm sure that they couldn't have just learned it from friends or be influenced by it. So if you look into it, it's deep rooted. Either your mom endured it, and like they tell us in our society, you don't talk about what happens in your marriage. When a man hits you the first time and you talk about it, they'll say, oh, it's just once, forgive and let it go. But once the person starts and you don't nib it in the bud, it only gets worse. It only gets worse, because Maya Angelou says something: if someone shows you who they
who
are,
they
believe
are.
them.
Mhm.
Because familiarity breeds contempt. Once you become familiar with people, that is when you start getting to know the true person in them. You don't get to know anybody in one day or in a few months. I'm sure that until my marriage ended, I was still learning new things about my ex-husband, until the day
You
it's
left.
yes. So I believe that, based on my small experience, we never get to know people fully, no matter how long. we think we know them or we have lived with them. We never get to know, and you never know what would influence
Trigger.
somebody to change.
Trigger. The trigger. What would
Exactly.
trigger a person?
Yeah. So I am of the view that with human beings, be it who they are, keep an open mind, and whatever a person evolves or evolves into, you have to either meet them at that point in their life and react and accept them for who they are, or they are sending you a signal or communicating something to you that you also need to accept and advise yourself as to what decisions you should make. It's human beings, we are subject to change at any point in time, married or not. You know a sweet person, you marry them, and then the slightest trigger, they become something else. And most of in our society, we women, they say our glory is what? Marriage. Why should a woman's glory be marriage? I want to believe that now times are changing and we will be open enough to accept the fact that a girl is not born and raised for marriage.
I
There
watched
are
a
so many
show.
people talking about it now, and I will be happy to know that our society is beginning to open up to accept the fact that a girl's life does not end up in the kitchen. We are
Well,
more than the kitchen, and we have more to offer if given the opportunity.
I watched a show the other day, and it wasn't a show, it was a TikTok where a Ghanaian girl born and bred in America, she's a scientist, she's a professional, she is a lecturer, and she was talking about marriage. She's 35, not married ever. And so she was saying that women are brought up to be wives, and women are trained to be wives, etc., etc., etc. Now, my thing was, I was watching. There were so many other TikTok things that she's done, which I agreed with, but I was very distressed about this women were trained to be wives point. It
But was she
disappointed.
able to say that men are raised to become husbands?
No, she said
Why can't it be that women are raised to be wives, men are raised to be husbands?
she was trying to explain to African American women that we have different cultures, and therefore, now it is true, we have different cultures, and African American women want different things from what African women or men want. But the thing is, we, the African women, we bring up those men who then become those evil, bad, ill mannered, violent people. We make them think that they are not whole unless they have a woman who completes them, a woman who allows them to develop. The woman, but when she marries, if she married you at 18, 24, 34, whatever age, that's it. Her job of growth is done. She is now going to get into the job of making a man out of you and looking after your children and pandering to your every need.
Yes.
I have a friend who she washes her husband's hand. She brings a bowl to the table. She washes her husband's hand before he actually eats his food.
How?
Yes, it happens. I've seen it. And this is a very educated woman. This is not an uneducated woman.
That is where I am I'm surprised and shocked that these values are instilled in the fiber of a woman or girls, that it gets to a point, it doesn't matter your level of education or enlightenment or what you know. It hurts me to an extent, but I don't know, I don't think I have the key to unlock it. How there was a lady on Joy News who also shared the same experience. She's a counselor, and one of her clients is a well-educated professional woman who holds an office, or he works with the UN or something.
Mhm.
But she can't leave her abusive home. She just can't. And when the kinds of stories that she shares as her experiences in her marital home, when you cannot juxtapose it against what she does, because this is a woman who is supposed to be helping other women out of such situations, and she finds herself in their situation and she can't do anything about it.
You see, one of the things that I say all the time is it's admirable if a woman can multitask in this way. And she can look after her husband, and she can look after her children, and she's a lawyer. I have an aunt who's like that. She's very good, she's very calm, she's very loving. Her husband has never beaten her. They get on really well. He's a very loving and healthy man. The same with my mother and my father. My mother worked. She was a teacher at one moment. She was in education office 1 minute, and she was all over the place. She was a businesswoman. She had lorries, and so every day the lorries go out and blah 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 blah. But she got on with her life. My father wasn't one of those manic, mad, jealous people. So life just went on. We all grew up, and it seemed like that. But a woman marries, there is no development. The church is telling women that you can't do this and you can't do that, and men can do everything. A whole pastor or a man of the cloth is the one who killed her. He kicked her in her chest. She fell down, fell into a coma. He carried her to the hospital. My people, listen to this. And then he then didn't tell the family until she was practically dying before he told them. And when they came and they were asking questions, he marched her twin out of the hospital. And then it turns out that he was already married to somebody else.
Yeah.
This is a man who all her work, her singing, the money goes into his bank account.
Yes.
This is a man who he told his children, somebody, the woman sings, and Nigerians, they are very expansive and they like to show their gratitude to you. So people give her car, money, this and that and the other, and the man takes it all. He controls it. He doesn't even let her sit in the car. He doesn't let her drive it.
Wow.
There are many facets of domestic abuse and violence, but this particular violence ending in death, and the reason why we are talking about it is we need to talk about what do we do if you know that this woman is being beaten but she's not telling you. How do you deal with it? And why do women not say they are uncomfortable? Why do women not say he will beat me? In fact, and before I ask you that question, I need to say that mine wasn't domestic violence. Mine was it was coercive control. It was more of things happening. The slightest thing you do is anything that goes wrong in the house is my fault.
It's your fault.
Everything that happens is, if you say something, maybe you're just joking and you say, then it becomes a big argument where you shouldn't have said, and you are a man, we sleep together. Why is it that if I say something, it becomes as if I've killed the Pope? So all of these things are issues which must be addressed in such a way that people see the trigger points. But there are people who, when you're in marriage, if somebody else brings their mouth, then you are angry with the person. You and your husband who's perpetrating the evil on you, you then get cross with the person only because they notice. Then we have the side where there are things that are happening, bad things are happening to you, but your family and friends are saying, oh, but you too, people want husband. And you've got a husband, you are complaining. Yeah? Why can't you just marry this man quietly?
Well, you know that Kiki, I believe that these things have, I don't know what it is. Once you do not have it all comes from your willingness to know your strength and your weaknesses, okay? What you can tolerate and what you cannot tolerate. Before for me, I told myself that there are two things I couldn't withstand, regardless of who you are. No matter the relationship, if you smoke, I couldn't live with you. If you abuse alcohol, I couldn't take it. And then if you abuse me, I couldn't. So I had these things as my personal values that I held close to my chest. So they were one of the few things I make very, very clear at the beginning of, or the onset of the relationship, that listen, these three things are like deal breakers for me. But some way, somehow, once the person wants you, they will live or try to adjust to you for some time. But in our local dialect, they say what? You can never hide pregnancy. It is in you. It will come out. It will definitely come out, no matter how hard you try. Unless, of course, you decide that, okay, at this point, I have to let certain things go. And I have pretended enough for it to become a part of my life, so I can't go back to it. Because this woman if you hear the kinds of things that the man has taken this woman through, like you're narrating, even on her deathbed, he had the guts to walk her twin sister out of the hospital. What kind of
hospital?
How?
But you see, these are things. Look, let me tell you something. And the families need to be stronger than they are on their daughters.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That I believe that right from the onset, maybe she did not involve her family.
We can't hear you. You've gone silent. But I mean, whilst you are trying to adjust,
Kiki, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Something has happened, so I can hear you in the studio, but you can't hear me,
Let me see what's going.
Okay, but whilst you are
Can you hear me now?
Yes, but can people hear you outside? People, can you hear her?
Kiki, I can't hear you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you're not on silent. I have not put you on silent.
Kiki.
Listen, they can hear you, so you just keep talking. The point is, let me tell you something. The point is...
Let me check on my sound, because I can't hear you. Okay.
The point is that whilst you're checking on your sound, I can tell people that the problem is we ourselves need to start having shelters for our people. We need to set up shelters. We need to do things where when people have problems, you can say, come to me. Let me help you. We need to, when you know that a woman is going through this sort of...
Okay. Sorry, I lost you. I lost sound at some point, so I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm saying that when people know that if you know somebody who is going through this, one of the first steps we must take is we must be able to help them. I will tell you that for me, I went through serious financial issues because now it was just me and my two kids. And I had to rejig things. I had a mortgage, the house, I had all sorts, and I was in the house. So I had to sort a lot of things out. In the middle of it, I got sick, I got better. But, with the help of God, I overcame all of the obstacles that could have helped me down. Now, the other thing is, because I was single minded and very determined that I don't want to go this way anymore. I'm not going to, you know, there are times when a man, I am friendly with somebody, and then they start saying, "Oh, maybe we should get serious. Maybe I should. When am I going to meet your sons?" And I'm like, "Hey, Papa, I am the one now who asked the question of what are you bringing to my table? Well, how are you gonna make my life is whole?
Yeah.
So if you are joining me, it has to be on a different level.
On
I'm
my
not going to
terms.
be, yeah, it has to be on my terms. I'm not going to be playing these games anymore. I've had
Yeah,
it, been there, done that, won the t-shirt,
that's
that
all.
sort of thing. I want to go to party and come home and shut my door and be happy. I don't, my experience is, I've been married just once, and my experience about coming away from people, and it's not nice. It's not nice. And people don't know. And if you keep telling them, they still can't believe you. They
Yeah.
don't believe you. And so it's like, I had a cousin, and I'm telling you, up till today, I can't. This is my cousin. We were very close. I loved her so much. And I still do love her and I miss her, but we can never be friends anymore.
Why?
Because, yeah, because when I took her into my confidence and I was telling her what my problems were, she said, but you too, can't you just, teach him? Look, even if we went somewhere and my husband misbehaved or ex-husband misbehaved or did something, it's like, but can't you just talk to this your husband to stop this nonsense? And I've just told you something he did, and I've just told you how I can't deal with it. And you see, people who are not in that situation, they do not understand. It's not their fault. That's not the point. But I could be killed because you did not listen to me.
Yeah. It
And
happens. It happens all the time. And it's the fabric of society. Everybody has an opinion on whatever another person is going through. And I
yeah,
always say that people will always have an opinion. They will always have an opinion, but do not let their opinion cloud your judgment
oh yes,
and influence your decision.
oh yes,
Because at the end of the day, whether it's a good decision you make or it's a bad decision, you will be the one to enjoy the benefits that come with it, and you'll be the same person to suffer the consequences that comes with it.
exactly.
Who says that leaving a marriage or deciding to end a marriage?
People can't hear you. I can't hear you now, but I can say I can't hear you. Something happened there and I can't hear you. Whatever it is, it's your because you are not on silence. You are not on silence. It says 100. And so you are not on silence. In any case, people, listen to this, right? You need to help your daughters, the girl child. First of all, we advocated to educate the girl child. The reason why we're educating the girl child is so that she knows. I remember when I was getting into my marriage, my father said to me, "Look, your children need to eat freely, to do things freely, so you buy the food." He also said, "You need to do certain things like electricity, this and that. So, and you need to save. So, if he does mortgage, or you need to have a way where you share your finances. Otherwise, you will fall into problem. And I may die and I may not be there. So you have to find a way. You know, I thank God every day for this because I did exactly what he asked me to do. And here I am. today. So we need to educate our girl children. We need also to make sure that our girl child is confident within herself, so that if things are not going right, she can make a choice. We make our girl children not have choices. We make them think that they are only complete when they are married, and that the man is the one going to make them into a respectable woman. Somebody says, whenever I make you, yeah, okay, so you can come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm back now.
What happened? Is it your computer or mine?
It was mine. It was from my end.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So,
couldn't hear you.
okay, so I'm talking about educating the girl child. I'm talking
Yes.
about how we need to make the woman more. Look, if you are confident, you're a confident girl, you will marry a man equally confident enough to respect
Yeah.
you. If you wait and marry the right man, you will be fine. Do not
Yes.
marry because your friends are getting married. Do not marry because your mother is forcing you to get married and you haven't found the man yet. Do
Mm-hmm.
not marry in haste. You will regret it. Marry somebody who you can play with, somebody who you are on the same wavelength of humor.
It is
Maybe
very important.
very important, because if you are like you are very playful, like the way that I am very playful,
Yeah.
and if you marry a man who is not playful, who gets upset at the slightest thing, you will hit the wall. You will have problems. We also need to try and create shelters. We have to be able to help. We have to be able to talk to people and say, look, I can see what is happening here. Do you need my help?
I think we also need to make it okay. The stigmatization needs to be dealt with in society. Other people's opinion shouldn't be more important than what we think is best for us. Whoever our individual, we should be strong enough to know what is good for us and what is not good for us. And society should be able to embrace us and anybody who comes to that decision that it's okay, it is all right. You have not committed a crime. You didn't
No,
kill anybody. You are rather saving yourself and saving others. So they shouldn't make it so difficult. Is I always compare it to ex-convicts. You know, when someone comes out of jail, how difficult it is to
get back
get
into
back into
society.
society. It's the same thing that happens when someone decides that this is no longer where I want to be and I want to move on. It's the same thing. That's how I see it. Because everybody thinks that, oh, if your mother was able to endure, why not you?
Nonsense.
But who goes into marriage to endure?
No, but who goes into marriage to replicate her mother? I mean, for God's sake, they have a different era and we are looking at a
Yes,
different era.
yes.
Even the way
And
they had sex is different from the way we are having sex now. What are you talking about?
yes,
Eh?
but they
So,
are the same people. Look at the pride that our mothers take. Every mother is proud that their daughters marry somebody. Yes, but that pride shouldn't it shouldn't be a cover up for the pain and inhumane treatment that your daughter will be subjected to. Why is
no,
it okay for the daughter to say, the woman's mother to say that for 8 years She never saw her daughter. She never visited her just because she got married.
No,
That
that
was
is
that
so
was the
wrong.
mother's experience. And I was shocked. Your daughter gets married, and for 8 years, because the husband forbids her from visiting her daughter in her matrimonial home. And it wasn't that she could go visit her mother either. Well, in such situation, personally, I wouldn't be able to withstand. Because
You know,
what could you be hiding? What are you hiding me from? Or what are you hiding from my family?
let me tell you something. The show is about to end because
Yeah.
you insist on it being 45 minutes. However,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no, it's fine. We are kind of on track. One of the things which at Christmas this year, me, my family, my brothers, my children, we were all sitting around the table. The whole everybody, extended the children, us, the whole thing. I had cooked. I like cooking, but my cooking, I like to lay the table beautiful, forks and knife. That
Yeah.
whole thing. I like the whole
Oh,
entertainment thing.
Christmas dinner.
Yeah. In fact, I think I spoke to you on Christmas Day.
Yes, we
Yeah.
did. We spoke.
So I like to do those things, and I did it so calmly. I started doing things a few days before and slowly got to the day. I wasn't stressed. It was lovely. Everybody was there, and so we had, in the middle of one of the champagne drinking, I said I want to make a speech, and I got up, and my speech was very short. It was that I thank God that
Yeah.
my family, here we are. Look at us, my children, my nieces, my nephew, all of us sitting around the table, brothers and all of that, and there is no stress. There were times in my life when if a brother came, if a cousin came, if someone came and said something that was not, I may be like, I may not even be there when they said it. When everyone went,
It is you who suffers for it.
and these things will be said, and everybody will go, and I'll get into my bed with my Netflix, my champagne, and my pie, and nobody will harass me, tell me off. Oh my God.
Not everybody enjoys, I when I learned this thing that you have to love yourself before you can tell people how to love you or how you want to be loved. I never understood it. But and it's true, Kiki, you love yourself, you enjoy your own company. So any other person's company is an addition, which when taken away does not mean you are not you. Do you understand? But not
Yeah,
everybody has that sense of self to
we
know
need
that
to teach our
you have to be complete.
we need to teach our children to be complete. We need to let
Exactly.
them know that this is how it is. We need to
Yeah.
stop this thing of, if you don't come and cut the onion in this certain way, you won't get a husband. It's okay if you
Yes.
don't have a husband. In fact, a lot of the time when sometimes I think it is a blessing to have children more
Yeah.
than it is to have a husband, because the husband is they just it costs, now this is not to say there are people who are not happily married and
Oh no, there are
getting on.
people who have been
There are.
happily married for years, and
Oh
we
yes.
thank God for that. I am an advocate for marriage. All this we are saying does not mean that we frown on marriage.
No,
Marriage is a beautiful thing, but it shouldn't end in anybody dying.
it shouldn't end in anybody being hurt. It
No.
shouldn't end in anybody doubting themselves suddenly and wondering, what have I done now? What have I
Yeah.
done? It shouldn't end in someone entering their house and feeling scared or anxious, anxiety, stress. It shouldn't end in somebody feeling undervalued just because they've married somebody.
Exactly. And
Else,
I have one thing that I want to say here,
say,
that
please.
men should know that their sons and daughters become become whatever they make of their mothers. If you treat your son's mother right and love her right, he will do same with whoever he ends up with. And if you treat your daughter's mother right and with respect, your daughter will know the kind of man they would want to be with. They wouldn't they will never settle for anything less than the example they know from home. That's why it is very, very important that men know that it's not about beating your wife into submission or ending your wife's life that makes you a man. You are only telling your son that this is right. And the most annoying part of everything that happened in this woman's story and things coming out is when I think one of the officials in Nigeria visited the children, and her eldest son was telling the woman that daddy said it was okay to beat mommy. Do you get it? So this is what he's going to grow up and become. So it
Actually,
is very, very important, the kind of example, and even the women who stay in abusive marriages should know that you are just telling your daughters that it is okay for you to end up just like me. And I don't know how else to say it, Kiki. It's very important that we know what we want, what is good for us, and hand that over to our children to also know that it is important that you know your worth, treat people with kindness so that it is given back to you. Marriage is not the end of a woman's life, and marriage should not define the womanness in anybody. Society should stop like putting it on us that until a woman is married, she is nobody.
someone said on here that abusing the mother is abusing the child. You traumatize the child. The when the
Exactly.
child sees that you are beating his mommy, and every child, especially the boy child, he loves his mommy, but he's learning. It's in his head, and
Yes.
also he is seeing that his beloved mother, you're beating her. He's gonna love her till she dies, but he's
Yes.
going to maltreat another woman because
Exactly.
that is what you taught him. Now, the show is ended. So I want to tell people, all mothers and expectant mothers and future mothers, this. If you have a baby boy and as he's growing up, he wants some food or something, and you give it to him and he throws it at you, and you do not make him know that what he's done is bad, he will grow up with it.
Yeah.
If you have a child who, when he's upset about something, he starts to slap you in your face, or he's angry and he's hitting you, and you think, oh, you're beating mommy, oh, you're nothing by, oh, look at him. When he's angry, he misbehaves. You are creating, you are breeding a monster. If he picks something from the ground and hits people whenever he's being told to stop doing something, and you smile and say, oh, that's what my son, he is Mike Tyson, action boy, you are breeding a monster. If you expose him to violence, and you say, yeah, he's a man's man, this guy has got his own mind, he doesn't take nonsense, you have bred a monster. A
Yeah.
few years down the line, this child is going to become a bully. If you have daughters and this boy is in the house commanding the daughter the way the father commands your daughters, you are breeding a monster.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. There is no manual for raising children, but there are basic values that we need to instill in our children. We just have to be kind to ourselves and teach them kindness so that they take that with them wherever they go. So it is up to us, men and women, to make sure that we are the example we want our children to become.
Exactly.
We should always be the example we want our children to become, so that the world will become a better place and nobody goes into marriage and ends up dying.
We are breeding monsters. Let me tell you a quick story before it ends. And when I tell you this story, I will say bye-bye and go.
Okay.
Before that, I want to say thank you to you, um, Henrietta Hetty,
Thank you.
for
Thank you,
joining
Kiki, for
me
having me.
on this show. We have come and we've told people our secrets that we had no intention of sharing. But if it helps somebody, it will make someone think. And this is just a simple, there is no big English around it. We have just talked about our experience. We have talked about other experiences. We have told people that Osinachi in Wachuku has not died in vain, because
No.
this death is a horrible, needless death. However, now I'll tell you a story. There was a child born of a very, very rich businesswoman. And this woman, she had so much money. She wanted a child so badly. And one day she had a child. But when she had the child, her husband died. So she decided that this is a child that I've asked God for. So let me give him whatever he wants. So this child was growing up. He had everything he wanted. If he went to school, he was rude to the teacher. They called the woman in to say, she would say, "How dare you tell me what he is my child? Do you know who I am? He can do whatever he is. And okay, if he beats someone, the woman will pay them off so that they don't talk about it." This carried on until he went to secondary school. In secondary school, he took the biggest chobox. He took the biggest trunk. He did everything he wanted. He knew how to bribe people. He knew how to get exactly what he wanted. And this was going on. And then he left school. And because he knew that his mother was rich, he had a business, and he would take over the business as the heir apparent, he did whatever he liked. And one day, he bought a gun for fun. And he and his friends got into his sports car. And as they were driving around, they hit someone. And these are people walking along the pavement. And when the people said, "Oh," they all came out and, "Why are you doing this?" And, "You must take the person to the hospital." He took out the gun and shot the three of them. So this boy, and this is a true story. Listen to this.
What?
So he did that, and the police came, they arrested him and took him to prison. It was a very big case. And at the end of it, it was decided that he would go in the electric chair. So on the appointed day of his being killed for all the bad things and the people he killed, they asked him, "What would you like?" And he said, "I would like to speak to my mother." So his mother comes to him crying, blaming everybody else but the son who had done the thing. And he said, "Mommy, come closer, come close." So the mommy went close. He said, "I have something to tell you. Bring your head." And as she took her head, he bit her ear off. He bit her ear in anger and frustration and fear because he was about to face the
To
electric.
die, yeah.
And the mother said, "Oh my God, what have you done?" She was screaming. And he said, "Because you never once advised me. You
Wow.
never once told me when I did something wrong. Take this ear." And he spat it out. And he said, "Take it and always remember the bad thing that you did to me." My people, I tell you this story so that you arm yourself with it. If
Yeah.
you give birth to children on this earth and you do not train them to be good, kind people, they will bite your ear.
Yeah,
One day, your ear will be bitten off.
it's
I
true.
leave you with this story.
Thank you, Kiki.
Thank you so much, my listeners, my viewers, everyone who joined us today and listened to this show. This is a easy, calm discussion where we talk about things that affect us without too much English, without too much jargon, but with experience and with something to teach you the way to go. Thank you very much, Hetty, as well.
Thank you, Kiki. Thank you for
Bye
having
bye.
me.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Good night.
Good night. What has happened? I can't find it. We are still there.